Do that. Oh, I did start. What's up, Caleb? All right, so here we go. Comparatives and superlatives. This is your chapter 6 notes. All right, so here we go. What y'all have never really thought about before in terms of grammar, what I should say the majority of students have never really thought about before, are that adjectives are actually degreed, meaning there are 3 different kinds of adjectives that y'all use every day. All right, and so it's natural for you guys. That's why y'all handled it so well in the translation. It just makes sense when they're being used, when the adjectives are being used. All right, so positive is the first kind of adjective. All right, positive adjectives are just adjectives that you put on to nouns. All right, what's the symbol for positive? Yeah, plus sign. What else does the plus sign mean? It means addition. So when you have a positive adjective, it literally means you have a noun that you are adding adjectives to. All right? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to use the example sweet in a second. So if you have like fruit, what fruit? The sweet fruit. It just adds on to the noun. That's the positive adjective. All right? The next kind of adjective we have is the comparative adjective. All right? Comparative adjectives do exactly that. They compare 2 nouns by means of a description. That fruit is sweeter than the other fruits. Don't worry, I'm going to walk through this much slower in a second. And then superlative is probably what you guys can assume. All right? No.
Better.
No. The sweetest. The highest level of a degree. The highest level of an adjective is a superlative. So you have positive, just describing something by a certain description. And then you have comparative. That's when you compare 2 nouns by a description, by means of a description. And then superlative is you're taking one and you're carrying it to the highest position of that description. All right, so let me just walk y'all through these slower, okay? That was just a little introduction of where we're going.
What was like the first slide? What is it called?
Comparative and superlative adjectives. Yeah, because y'all have already been using positive this whole time. You just never really knew it had a name. You just kind of thought, oh, adjective. But I'm showing you that they're very common in all these forms, and y'all handled them easily already, so don't be worried about it at all. All right, the positive degree is just the basic form of any adjective. All right, if y'all were just to say any adjective out loud right now, just the way that you would learn it in a dictionary. Red, flat, hairy, scared, illuminated, all right? Hard, flying. Like those are all different kinds of adjectives that just describe a noun. All right? That's a positive adjective. All right? This is the form that you will always see in the glossary. Every adjective will always be given to you in its positive form to learn. You will never be given, for 95% of adjectives, you will never be given a comparative or superlative form in the glossary. The only reason why a adjective would ever be given to you in a different form in the glossary is because it's irregular, meaning there's a special word for that comparative adjective. Other than that, though, you'll learn the positive forms in the glossary. All right, so here's my example. Dulcus, dulca. That's how you guys would learn it in your vocab for the week. Or you'd look it up in a glossary. That's what it would look like. Dulcus, masculine and feminine form. Dulca, the neuter form. It's an adjective given to you, masculine, feminine, and neuter. It just means sweet. That's the positive degree of that adjective. All right? Like I said before, positive, the symbol for that is a plus sign. So you just know that these are just descriptions being added on to by the adjective. All right, so sweet fruit. All right? It's not talking about anything else. It's just describing the fruit as sweet. All right? It doesn't matter what kind of sweetness we're talking about. It's just sweet. Simple adjective. Are you all tracking with me right now? Yep, just very basic grammar stuff right now. All right? The next one is the comparative degree. All right? The comparative degree is exactly what it sounds like. All right? In English, though, we just make this really simple. For the most part, we just add the suffix er to adjectives. Sometimes the adjective changes a little bit when we do that, but most of the time, adjectives in English are not irregular. Usually just add er. All right, you can take any noun for the most part and add er, but sometimes you will have to add more. So an adjective like brave, you can say braver, but sometimes it sounds more correct to say more brave. But take, for example, the word that I just said right there, correct. That's an adjective. I can't say corrector. You guys see that? Some adjectives in English you can't just put er at the end of. You have to say more correct. So those are the two ways that we deal with comparatives in English. All right? And then here's the example of that in Latin. You had dulcis, dulca, but now look, its stem has changed. Now it's dulcior. All right? That's in the comparative degree. And just really simply put, this adjective compares the noun it modifies to another noun. So that's something you need to hold on to, and maybe a note that you need to make sure that you specify and highlight, is that you're never just going to have one noun. That's not true, not never. But the majority of the time, a sentence that has a comparative adjective in it is describing two nouns. One as more this than the other. All right? This is just a level above the positive degree. Positive is the base form, has nothing to do with the amount. The comparative is a little bit more than the positive. All right? Okay, just very basic walkthrough right now. I know it's kind of boring. All right, last one is the superlative degree. All right, I'm just going to put it all up there really fast so that we can talk about this really quick and do some practice. All right? This is when in English we usually put est at the end of it. And when you talk to a little kid, if you say like, yo, what'd your ice cream taste like? And then a 3-year-old looks up at you and says, oh, it was the sweetest ice cream I've ever had in my entire life. Mm-hmm. That's how little kids do it. And that's what's really nice about the Latin, is that in Latin, there are just a bunch of S's. So you can feel it when you see it or when you're reading it. You can tell, like, this is a extremely lofty form of that adjective. All right? This is the highest level of the adjective. And when it's used on an adjective going with a noun, that means that it is the very best. Whichever one you're talking about, whatever noun you're talking about, is the very sweetest thing. All right? And in that scenario, it surpasses all other nouns. Most sweet, very sweet, sweetest. Those are all possible ways to talk about that. All right? So now that we've covered the basic grammar, all that.
Will you leave it up for more seconds?
Sure. Now that you've covered the basic grammar of all this, though, I'm going to show you how to do this for every adjective ever. All right? That are regular adjectives. Every regular adjective is going to do the same thing for the comparatives and for the superlatives. So I'm going to walk you guys through the comparatives first. All right? And these are your steps for doing this. Now, you can write these down if you want to. If you feel like you've got it in you to write these down, you totally can. But we're going to practice these right now. All right? And you guys are going to do them for homework. So you're going to have enough stuff keeping you on for this that it will stick. I promise you it will stick. All right, so here we go. You're going to first form a comparative adjective by knocking off the genitive singular ending from the positive form. Whatever the genitive singular ending is. Yeah, just a normal, like an adjective could be like armatus, armata, armatum, meaning armed. All right? You would just find out, okay, what would my genitive singular ending be for this one? It would be armati. So I just knock that off and I'm just left with the stem armat. And then you add the base of the adjective. Comparative adjectives for the masculine and feminine have ior. All right? That's the nominative singular, ior. But if you were to do it for a neuter noun, if you're describing a neuter noun, instead of eor being the base for the nominative singular, you're going to have eus. All right? However, y'all can see right here that whenever an adjective is made to be comparative, it, from that point on, doesn't matter. What set of declensions did this adjective take in its positive form? What declensions did it take in its positive form?
Right.
Yeah, first and second. But once I change it into a comparative adjective, it now only takes third declension endings.
Those are
Blank is a's, ibis, a's, ibis. Those are your third declension endings. All right, so here's an example right here, just to show y'all what I just walked you through. All right, clarus, clara, clarum. That's how it'd be given to you in the glossary. You get the stem by knocking off. Oh, I forgot I'm filming this for Caleb. You figure out the stem by knocking off the genitive ending, which would just be clar. All right, you add the comparative stem eor for the masculine feminine and eus for the neuter. And then from that point on, you can put third declension endings on. So here's a third declension adjective, fortis, forta, that does the same thing. You knock off the genitive ending of fortis, forta, you're still just left with fort, and it does the same thing. Fortior for the masculine feminine, and fortius for the neuter. All right? But let me emphasize this. All right? Once you shape these, this for the masculine and feminine, and this for the neuter, you only have the nominative singular. This is what it would look like if it's describing a singular subject noun. This is what it would look like if it's describing a singular subject noun. All right? You gotta remember what I'm about to tell you, though. All right, the next thing I'm going to flash up on the board is what a full declension of a comparative adjective looks like. All right? This is what it would look like in the singular. Here's the nominative singular that I just pointed out to you guys. Fortior, fortius. But look, the stem stays the same for masculine and feminine. Just fortior is the stem for masculine and feminine. You got your endings right there. Is everybody seeing that? Blank is em, e. Everybody seeing that? But for the neuter, the stem is going to be fortior for everything except for the nominative and accusative. So fortius is the nominative and accusative singular for the neuter. Everything else, like here's the plural, everything else has the stem eor in it. But be on the lookout for these. That's what I'm trying to warn you guys about. Be on the lookout for those. All right? And you don't need to write out that full declension or anything. We'll do practice of that later. But for right now, let's just do some of these. All right? These are what I want you to do for homework tonight. All right? I want you to write down what each of these would be. It's really easy. I just want you to write down what each of these would be in the masculine, feminine nominative singular and the neuter nominative singular, just like I showed you to do. And then I want you to translate them in the comparative. All right? So, funestus, funesta, funestum. What would it look like in the masculine, feminine? You can start on your homework right now.
This is what the homework is.
This is the homework. You're changing each of these positive adjectives into comparative, and then you're translating them.
Can I take a picture of it?
No, it's up there. It'll be on the PowerPoint.
Where's the PowerPoint?
On your review PowerPoints. Whoa, dude, don't ask me that. That stresses me out, dog.
All 8?
Yeah, all 8. Takes you about 10 seconds to do each one. All right, so funesta, funestus, funestum. What would the stem be?
Funest.
Yep, funest. What do you add to make it nominative singular for the masculine, feminine? Eor. What do you make it to be neuter nominative singular?
Yes.
Yep, funestius. And then what does funestus mean? You might need to look some of these up. What does funestus mean? Okay, there you go. That's good.
I was thinking fun.
No, I mean those could be possible. So what would it have to be in a comparative form? Did you find it?
It means deadly.
Yeah, this is like something that, it's like you're not going to make it past. Fatal is really what this is.
Super fun.
So how would it translate in the comparative?
More fatal.
Deadlier, more fatal. So some of the translations of an adjective can take the stem that we do for English. Some of them you're going to have to put more in front of. Let's do one more. Plainus, plana, planum.
So right, more deadly.
Depending, I would even say like deadlier. Deadlier makes more sense for that adjective. I'm just getting you practiced on doing the translation and the formation.
Just in the comparative or in the other one too?
No, I haven't taught you how to do the other one yet. Yeah, you just do these ones. Don't go to the superlative slides on the review PowerPoint, even though it'll be available to you. You can look at it if you want, I guess. Just get a little leg up for tomorrow. But yeah, this is all I want you guys to leave today knowing how to do. All right, let's do one more. Let's do plainest together. What would the stem be?
Plain.
Just plain. What do you add to make it? Masculine, feminine. Eor. And then, good. Plain eos is neuter. Regardless, they both translate the same way. What does plainus mean? Full. It's an adjective. Plenty would be, yeah. More full.
Most full?
Nope, that's superlative.
Fuller.
Fuller could also be a
I
take.
think fuller is the word.
Fuller. Or more full. Guys, it's really, really simple assignment. All right? But take your time on it. Be careful with the stems that you form. All right, we'll do some declensions of these tomorrow. Make sure that y'all get your hands on that, and then we'll just do more translating with it, because y'all did it naturally. So this is slide number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Slide 9. All right, see you guys.
Like my notes I did today.
Electric.
I was going for like the ACDC.
Yeah, I like it, dude.